are you, honey? Thanks for joining us. I'm just waiting on Amy and Anthony to join in. I'm going to say hi to Diana, all the way from Orlando, Florida. Right, girl? I'm excited to have you on here. So let's see if I can find Amy and Anthony. They should be joining me any minute. Let's see. How you doing, Diana? I hope it's nice and sunny in Orlando. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Amy and Anthony, please type them in the comments and I'll make sure that we get your questions answered. Let's see, where are they? Let me find Amy. Hey girl, it's hot here too. Let's see. All right, I think they're coming on. Just hold on for one more minute. Let's find her. Here we go. All right, I just sent her a notice, so hopefully she'll get on. So we got lots of good questions to ask them today. We're going to find out a lot about their salon, what's going on with them, how they got started with owning their own salon. Will help give some insight on what it takes to be a salon owner and to work through the ebb and flow of that. So as we know, it can be difficult being a salon owner, but it's also very rewarding. Hey, Melanie Brown, how are you, girl? All the way from, let's see, El Paso, Texas, I assume. Hopefully you're settled in your new home. I'm getting settled into my new home still. So I've been following you on Facebook, Melanie, to see how things are going for you. So it looks like things are going well. Oh, there's Amy. Hi, Miss Papatanti. Good to see you. Girl, I hear you. El Paso is hot. It's hot here too in Scottsdale. All right, so let's see. I think I got Amy. So let's see if we can connect. This is Amy's first time doing a live, so please be patient with us. I talked to her this morning on how to connect, so she is learning the ropes. So hopefully she'll get on. And Pat and Melanie, if you have any questions for Amy and Anthony, please type them in the comments and I'll make sure that we get them answered. And yes, Diana, I agree. I get inspired too. The thing about Amy and Anthony is I've known them, I've probably known Amy about 7 years and Anthony about 2 to 3 years. And what I've noticed about both of them is how quickly they have been achieving their goals. And that really inspires me. So I just wanted them to share their story in hopes that it'll inspire others to move forward with what it is that they're wanting to create. So that's why I chose Amy and Anthony. All right, I think I got them now. Hold on, let's see. Maybe Anthony will come on. So yeah, because I think there's something to be said for people that achieve things very quickly. Hey, there's Anthony.
Hey, sorry, we're having a little difficult.
I know, right? Well, I was telling everybody, please be patient because this is your first time doing a live. So anyway, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Is that your home? Are you in your home?
Yes,
we are.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, we got a few people following us. We got Diana Munoz here and Melanie from El Paso.
My girls.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys remember Papatanti. Do you remember her?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Probably not.
Well, she used to lead us. She was our leader at TG forever. She was one of my mentors, and I miss her so. So thank you for joining in. I'm gonna cry, Pat.
Awesome.
I think you may have introduced me at the Chicago show. I think.
Pat, but no, that was Zoe. That was Zoe Hart. But Papatanti was like, she let us. So it's so funny. Like, right before you guys came on, I'm like, I'm going to go grab my tissue because I know I'm going to cry. But anyway, she's watching. And so thank you for joining me. I'm super excited to launch Tammy Talks. So just to give you a little bit of what the purpose is, it's just to share the successful journeys of people that are in this industry. I think there's something to be said about where we come from and where we're going. And I think that it can inspire other hairstylists to create something new for themselves. So as you know, it's not easy when you have a dream or a vision, you know, a whisper in your ear to do something. There's a lot of defeating voices that come up for us. So what I've noticed about you, Amy and Anthony, is, you know, I've known Amy probably 7 years, but really maybe 3 or 4, we've gotten to know each other. And Anthony, just you for maybe 2 years. But what I've noticed is how quickly you two can create or manifest something. Like you have a goal and you guys achieve it. And I don't know if you realize how quickly you do it, but I've noticed it. So what I wanted to do was connect with you and to share your stories with our audience in hopes that they'll get inspired to create something new for them. And just realize that it's not always easy. I mean, there's always this crazy thing in the background going on for us, but we keep moving forward. So that's why I chose you two as my first guest. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. So first of all, why don't we just let you guys tell us a little bit about yourself? So where are you from? You know, how you met each other, how long you've been in the industry?
Well, I guess I'll start.
Okay.
I'm from North Carolina. I met Amy. We've been married now for 16 years, so probably 18 years ago. Yeah. We met through a mutual friend. During that time, she started going to cosmetology school when we first got together. And so she's been in the industry now for probably 15 years. 17.
Or like 16, 17.
Okay. Well, but anyway.
I have 13 years written down.
But yeah, that's how we met. And I've been in the hair industry for probably now about 11 years total. I've been educating with TG maybe going on three to 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So definitely, we've been a salon owner as well for 13 years.
But that's a huge accomplishment.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, and what about you, Amy? Tell us a little about you.
Like, I don't know if Anthony mentioned, we're from Jacksonville, North Carolina. So it's on the east coast of North Carolina, small military town. I've always I think as a young child, always been very interested in the whole industry and all the creative aspects of it. And so I started cutting hair when I was probably, I think the first time I ever cut hair was whenever I was 10. And then, 5. And then I did a bob when I was 10.
Oh, right.
um,
Don't you wish we would have had cameras back then? We could have taken
the
those
baby
pictures
dolls and all that. And then through high school, you know, I was always very interested in it. Then when it was time to go to college, I think I was more about, like, you know, what the successful jobs were, and, you know, sort of listen to some people when they didn't have the best opinion about, like, being a hairstylist.
Right.
So I went to school, and I was going to be in the dentistry field. And I took my first day of anatomy and physiology and completely said, nope, this is not for me. Okay. I was like, this isn't happening. So whether or not I'm a starving artist or whatever, I'm just going to go do hair. So I dropped that class and I went and signed up for cosmetology, and it's been amazing ever since. I mean, obviously there's been hurdles and jumps, but that's how it all started for me.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So, you know, I think it's important that we reflect back, because that's where our lessons are learned, right? Which brings us to the present. So I want you to kind of just take back memory lane, especially for you, Amy, because you opened the salon, right? Did you open it together with Anthony, or did he join you later?
I mean, he was always there, but originally I opened with a partner.
Okay. Okay, so when you first started thinking about this process, and just do this in the context that there's hairstylists watching us and they're thinking about opening their own salon, okay? So back then, you're behind your chair, you're thinking about opening up your own salon. So when you hear that little whisper, you know, that you want to move forward, it's an idea that keeps coming up over and over. What actions did you start taking in order to fulfill on that?
Well, I just started preparing for it. I mean, I started making lists of what I needed to do, buy, you know, all of those things.
So you put pen to paper. You started writing down things that
Yeah.
needed to be done.
Yeah, I'm a big writer, like especially Anthony Connects. I have like notes of everything when I'm on an airplane. You know, even my staff will probably tell you, I've shared this with them before. I'm like, I write down everything, and then my paper is like a big hot mess. So yeah.
Who is your dog? Wait, who's your little dog back there? That little
What?
dog.
Oh. We tried to lock her up, but she
No.
was being really loud, and it wasn't working. So we were
That's
just like,
hilarious.
she's just gonna have to be a part of it. So this is
I
Zoe.
love it.
She's our dog.
Hi, Zoe. Okay, so step number one is you started writing things down of what needed to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what did you do?
And then I just started planning, and you know, Anthony was always involved. You know, when he opened the salon, he wasn't in the industry yet, but he was always a part of it. So we would talk about it. We would plan things, write things down. You know, like I said, I had a partner at the time, so you know, we collaborated on a lot of things. And from there, I just jumped forward with faith and just did it. And we opened with the bare minimum. And we didn't have a lot, but we made it work. And
Okay, so when you say faith, what do you mean by faith? Did you like pray about it? Did you just like go? I mean, what do you mean by faith?
Yeah, we prayed about it, and you know, just trying to counteract fear with just, you know, sometimes you have to be okay with the unknown, whether or not this is going to work or not. You know, just following your heart, really. And I think the reason, you know, just following your why, and my why when we started was I wanted to have a team, and I wanted to be able to inspire other people. And it just, you know, it was never really about like being a, you know, a business owner. It was more just like creating the atmosphere that I wanted to be in.
Yeah, well, see, and I think that's important. Like, you know, people think, you know, you got to have your why because that's what keeps you going and that vision. And that's what keeps us on that path. And if we deter from that, it's so easy to get derailed, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so moving forward, I love that. So write it down, faith, know your why. And then you said you had a partner. Did you get out of the partnership and then you and Anthony just owned it on your own?
We did. So
Yeah.
while we were partners, Anthony was starting, you know, he went to school. He actually started with barber school. And, you know, I had a partner for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, I just started realizing that we had different visions. I wanted to create something more. I wanted to have education. I just wanted to do more than just, you know, have a space where people could just pay me a rent. Like I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to be a part of something and be able to inspire, you know, people. So that was after about 5 years. Then, you know, he worked somewhere else first at a barber shop, and then, you know, he came along. We rebranded in 2012.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then from there, we just like changed everything and really, I think, you know, because I was young when we first started, so I really didn't, you know, wasn't as, I guess, mature as I am now, and didn't have you know, I didn't know everything. So I was just sort of like learning as I went along and learning like what I want, what I didn't want. And I was always fascinated with like going to classes. You know, I just knew that I wanted to bring more of that, and I had to rebrand and start fresh again. So.
Well, so what I love about that, Amy, is that, you know, you had a challenge that came up, right? You had a vision, and 5 years into it, you realized like, hey, you know, this isn't my vision where we are. So you had to take the actions to get you back on course. And I think that's something that's very important for people to know, regardless of what they create for themselves, that sometimes we have this plan and it can start going in the direction we don't want it to go. And sometimes it's okay to take a step back and just like, you know, write down again what it is you want, go back to your why, and then get back on focus. So maybe you just had to, you know, break that partnership and create something new, and that's okay. You know, we can do it with grace and ease, and be respectful of the other people, but you've got to keep going to where you want to be, because in that, look at what you've created. I mean, you have a huge salon now. You've rebranded, which I also think that's important. You know, reinvent yourself as you go, because that's where we learn, right? So from all of that past, right? So now you're in a bigger space, I assume, because it looks like you guys expanded, right?
We did.
Okay, so
2.5 years ago.
how did that happen?
Well, we had half the space, which was about 1,500 square feet. And, you know, during the busy times, we were bumping elbows. I mean, we were, you know, we were close. And I think we had 10 stations in there.
And 2 shampoo bowls.
3 shampoo bowls. Well, we had 2, and then we had another one. So we, like, pretty much used every, like, corner. We started with 2, and then we added another one. And we just needed more space. We were just starting to, like, bump elbows, and it was just getting a little, you know, like it was that time. And the space next to us came for rent. We always talked about it. And before that, we actually thought about relocating to a bigger location, which was off the main road that we're on. And we actually almost got down to signing the contract. And, like, something told me, like, this isn't it. This isn't the space. This isn't the time. I mean, we had everything planned, and I pulled out of it, and we both talked about it. It just wasn't the right time. And then probably 1 year after that, the space next to us went for rent, so we jumped on it, and we never had to move. All we had to do was break down the wall, and now we have 20 stations instead of 10.
That's awesome. I love that. So again, you're kind of listening to your intuition, listening to that inner voice, right? To kind of lead you. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's talk about where you are now. So currently from what I know, you guys are in an area that has an Army base near you, correct?
Yes, Marine Corps base. Yeah.
Marine Corps base. Okay, so what I've noticed watching you guys is you have a lot of hairstylists that are transitioning in and out of your salon because of their husband or wife being in the Marines, and then they have to leave your salon. So let's just have real talk about this. How hard is it to put all that time and energy into training these people, building up their business? You know, you're teaching them cut and color, building up their clientele, and then they have to leave. And of no fault of your own, it's just the nature of the beast, right? You live in a town where that transition is always happening. How do you deal with just the mental anguish that comes with that? I'm sure there's a financial impact from that. Like, how do you guys get through that part of it?
Well, I feel like with Amy and I, we treat each person like they're not going anywhere, if that makes sense. We still give them 100%.
Yeah.
You know, we still train them as if they're going to be there forever, and try to inspire them and instill everything that we can into them, because knowing that they're leaving, even though they are leaving, we're still a part of their journey. And maybe something that we were able to show them, or that inspiration we were able to give them, can carry on wherever they go. So in a sense, it's like we're planting like little seeds, and we're like trying to like inspire everybody, but we're not going to let the fact knowing when we hire that they're going to be leaving in, say, 2 to 3 years hinder how we, you know, still do things in our salon. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's really important to us as well. It's like it's not just so much about the business as it is just about impacting people's lives, and just you know, touching people in a way that, you know, they can carry that on somewhere else, you know. So I feel like in the back of my mind, we always know, like, this is going to be hard when this person leaves, but we'll deal with it when it happens. But in that meantime, we're going to kind of, you know, treat every moment as if it's like not going to happen, and it's just on a day-to-day basis, and we all work together and, you know, pretty much become a family. So I feel like that's really how we kind of deal with it.
Yeah, and I think that's so important even for people that are salon owners now. Like, if we're always worried about where they're going, are they going to leave, are they going to leave, you're really focusing on that, they're eventually going to leave, right? But if we just focus on, okay, they're here now, let's give them 110%, give them a reason to stay, I think that would make a total energy shift in a salon where you're being present with who's there, and you can't worry about what people do, regardless if they leave because of their husband or wife moving away, or they leave because they're not happy. It's inevitable. People leave our salon space, our life, or what relationships for whatever reason. So just not focusing on that. Focus on where we are right now, give them what we have, and then, you know, what will be, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are also educators, right? You both, Anthony, you are a cutter educator, and Amy, you're a color educator. So I want to go back to less than a year ago. You both said to me, one of your goals was to be on stage together, to collaborate as a husband and wife team. I'm going to cry just saying it. And you guys did it. It's like so exciting to me. So now looking back, you guys set that goal. And I mean, it happened like maybe 3 or 4 months later. You guys were up on stage together, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's that like? I mean, seriously, that happened quick.
Yeah. The first time we went on stage was at ABS Chicago last year. Was it last year?
Maybe the
Year before, sorry. And that was unexpected for me. I found out like hours before, and Anthony had about 24 hours before. And so we both did, and you know, such a learning lesson. We've grown so much from that time, and we still have so much more to grow, you know, to continue to be the best that we can be. But yeah, that's been amazing. So since then, we've done 3 shows and we've pretty much led 3 shows. So
yeah, together. So that's definitely, that was one of our goals, because in a way it kind of made sense for us in our eyes. Like, you know, I cut, she colors. So how often would that be? You know, and I felt like what we kind of cling to is we know each other, you know, so the flow I felt like would be more organic with both of us up there. So when we had the opportunity, it was very exciting. It was a very exciting moment, and it was really a great experience for both of us. And I felt like that, I don't know, it did come really fast. I mean,
it did.
You know, I will say sometimes you gotta, you know, be careful what you ask for, because it's will receive. You know, but it's a good thing, though. You know what I mean? So I felt like how fast it did happen kind of did catch us off guard, but we were really excited, because truly on the inside, that's what we really, you know, we really did want that, you know, the opportunity, you know. And in this industry, I feel like, you know, it's kind of cool to be a husband and wife team, you know, as well. So I think it's definitely something that, you know, possibly, I don't know. It's just something I really look forward to. I thought it was great. I couldn't ask for a better person to be on stage with besides my wife. So. Oh,
Amy. That's awesome. Yeah. Look, he's getting brownie points, girl. He's getting brownie points.
I know. I think we're on.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. Who are some people in our industry that inspire you? Because, you know, I think it's important that you guys share this, because we talked about this in January. I originally interviewed you guys. Talk about who inspires you and why.
Well, I'll start with you, because I really love like what you're doing, and, you know, not just feeding the technical side for the hairdresser, but also, you know, empowering them and encouraging them to, you know, not listen to little voices and all those things. So I would say you. Obviously with TG, you know, Anthony, Pat Muscolo, and, you know, the whole family, the whole TG team, really. Richie's been a really great mentor for me. Renee. I mean, there's so many. I could just name a lot more. But, you know, I'm just really grateful. I think that everybody that we've came in touch with has had something different that we've, you know, gained from them, whether it's, you know, technical or, you know, something else. So I think there's just really been more than 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah. And I think that was, you know, what I caught from you when we talked about this before, is that you have more than one mentor. And I think it's so important that people can understand, like, you're going to gain information from each person that makes you a complete hairdresser. So you may go to one person for inspiration on getting over struggles. You may go to one person for technical advice. You may go to one person for building your business. So I think it's so important that we surround ourselves with more than one mentor, because everybody has something to offer through their journey. And I think just naturally, you two have become mentors to others because you've done that, right? What about you, Anthony? Who are some of your people that inspire you?
Well, like Amy said too, I mean, start off with you as well because of what you're doing. It's
Thank
not
you.
like a technical aspect, like Amy said. It's more about touching people and really inspiring people, because I feel like in this industry, there's so many people like teaching haircuts, teaching techniques, but, you know, how are you really, you know, touching that person on the inside? And I feel like this is something that's really important in an industry that can get kind of stagnant, you know, where people do kind of get stuck in a rut. So I feel like, you know, what you're doing is, I mean, amazing,
Thank you.
first off. So we're definitely blessed to be a part of it with you as well. And then I would say probably Joel Torres was one of my big mentors. I feel like I can relate to him really well because we both come from a barbering background.
Yeah.
We both enjoy photography. So there's just so many sides of that I can just reach with him. And me and him developed a friendship. So it's on a different level of inspiration now. It's like where, I don't know, we just kind of talk. And every time we talk, we connect with something. So it's great, you know. And I will also have to say Philip Downing and Thomas Osborne have been big motivators to me as well. They're always open to help me out. You know, I never have any worry about whether or not a question I'm asking is like a dumb question, because I don't feel like there is a dumb question, you know, and they make me feel comfortable enough to approach them and ask them whatever I need. And they're always there to help me and give me advice. So they've been a big part of my growth as well. So definitely them. And then of course, you know, outside of that, like I do look at, like, you know, the old Vidal Sassoon type stuff, you know, and just find inspiration from everywhere, you know.
Right.
But people that I connect with are the ones that inspire me the most, which obviously is the teaching people. So
yeah. So there's a lot of mentors going on, right?
There is, yes.
Yeah, and that's awesome that you guys stay connected. You know, I think what's important is that we have to ask for help. We don't always have the answers, and then just don't be afraid to ask for help, right?
That's right.
You know, all those people you mentioned did not get there on their own, right? They all have their mentors, and it's just connecting with somebody that's doing what you want to do and not being afraid to ask for help from them. It's so important. Okay, so we got one question from one of the viewers. They wanted to know, together, when you guys come up with a challenge or an obstacle, how do you guys work through that?
Well, we communicate. We talk, you know, we talk about it.
Because as a husband and wife, it must be hard, right? It's like you're business owners together, you're husband and wife, you work together as educators, so there's a lot of like, so what do you guys do? You communicate how?
Well, you know, by talking to each other. You know, there's always a challenge, you know. And I think something I learned from Jen Plank, I should have mentioned her too. I've been inspiring her as well.
Yes.
But you know, like, there's always gonna be problems, and you can be a problem solver, or you can make more problem out of it, like make it worse. So I think just being able to, there's always going to be problems, there's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be something, but you just have to communicate, talk about it, find a solution for it, and, you know, just, that's what we do.
And realize you're on the same team, right? You're not working against each other.
And I think the big thing too that we've came to realize is the fact that you need to really truly acknowledge the problem and accept it, and, you know, speak it out loud, like, hey, this is a problem, you know. That way you're able to find the best solution for that problem, because I feel like at times people don't always want to address what the problem really is. They might go around the true problem, trying to fix it or sweep it up under the rug per se, and that doesn't really, obviously it doesn't really work, you know. It's kind of like just being out in the open and just like really saying, hey, this is the issue, how can we solve it? is
Yeah.
very
So
important.
just be transparent about it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think sometimes it's hard for people. You have a problem, and there's all this emotion that's wrapped up in it. Instead of just saying, hey, this is the issue, let's fix it, and not create this whole emotional drama around it, because there is a solution. Sometimes we just make it worse, right? Our little
Right.
voices start talking, start like adding fuel to the fire. It just makes it this big thing. I think that's really important, especially as a salon owner. Like, you got to nip it in the bud right away, or it just will radiate through the salon, right?
Right. Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a couple more things. What are 3 things that you would tell hairdressers, like, young hairdressers too, not just seasoned hairdressers, young hairdressers? 3 things that you would encourage them to do to be successful.
Well, for me personally, I think that not just to the young hairdressers, but even now, just being able to accept the fact that not everything's going to go as planned and not everything's going to be perfect, and you need to accept the no's and the challenges and all that just as easy as you'll accept all the good things that come out of every situation too. Because once you are able to accept, like, say your challenges or maybe even a weakness that you might have, that's in turn where you grow. So I feel like you have to kind of relish in the bad times and the good times, because it's going to happen regardless. So I will say that, recognizing that and being able to learn and grow from it is definitely important, because I feel like so many people get discouraged, very easily. And
Yeah.
you never know, they might be walking away from something that could be so good and so big because of obstacles that came in the way, but you just need to understand that that's going to happen, and it's about how you address it and learn from it. So I feel like that's something I've learned along the way. Like, it wasn't always easy for me, and I've had plenty of obstacles, and just being able to learn that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, is very important. And then I will say also, staying inspired. I spoke about earlier, people kind of can get in a rut, I feel like that's definitely important. Like, I really enjoy the whole side of me where the education side comes in, because it does kind of keep me inspired, because every time I go and do anything at all, like with TG on the education side, I just get so inspired, instead of just being behind the chair all day long, every day, which is fine. I love that side too, but it's nice to, that's what inspires me and kind of keeps me going. It's my little extra, I feel like, finding that. And then also, just being goal oriented and waking up every day with a purpose, just know what the purpose is throughout the day. Like, what do you want to get out of the day to make it beneficial? I feel like it's very important.
So what's your why, right? Every day.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So yours is keep moving forward, continue to get education, and to have that goal every day. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. What about you, Amy? What would your 3 be?
I would say, stay true to who you are. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something, because
girl.
You have to follow your dreams, and you're gonna have, like Anthony said, you're gonna have obstacles. You're gonna have things in the way. I think that you just have to solve those, or go over them the best that you can. Learn from them. Communicate. Don't compare yourself to some. There's that saying, like, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle or end. Like, that's so true. So many new people that are like, oh, I want to be here, but it took so much for them to get there. So just to really, like, take it all in and be present where they are at this time, and whenever they get anxious about where they want to be, like, just realize where they were a year ago, and just be great, practice gratitude.
Yeah, that's one of the things I share in one of my classes, is to honor the space between no longer and not yet. Mm-hmm. That's where we get stuck, right? We're no longer going to be doing this. We're trying to get to the not yet, and there's this space in between. And that's the place where we need to honor and respect, because that's where we grow. And if we don't have that space right there, we never get to the end, right?
Right.
So I love that you said that. And then you ended with gratitude, like all those lessons, there is gratitude in all of it. And when we start recognizing that and we can look back and be thankful for all of the craziness that we went through. Because
Right.
if we wouldn't have, we wouldn't be where we are.
That's
You
right.
know? So yeah, okay, awesome. I love that. I hope that that inspired everyone that's watching, because I think there's some good lessons in there. You guys have walked through the journey. You're still in the journey, and that's the whole point of this Tammy Connects, is to help others, you know, realize you're not alone, and we're all going through something bigger and better, and it gets us to where we want to be. Okay, so finally, how can we connect with you? Like, what's coming up for you guys? What's your vision? Where are you working towards? Kind of give us, like, we've talked about past, we talked about present. So now where are you going in the future?
Well, I think as far as, you know, our business goes, we're still, you know, still trying to make that the best that we can. Still continue to build that. We've learned to set boundaries and try to work on balance more. You know, having a daughter and being married and also being business owners and educators and all that stuff. You know, just having boundaries and also trying to create as much balance as possible.
So can you give us an example of what you mean by boundary? Because I think that that's really hard for people to achieve. So give us one example of a boundary you set to create balance.
Well, I think, you know, like I can think about like the past, like I would be like all in, like I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, you know, and then over time you realize like it's okay, it'll still be there, you know, like you have to make sure you're prioritizing what's important in life, because it's not just about work, it's not just about where you want to be or what you want to achieve, it's also about like taking care of yourself, your family, and making those a priority. So
Yeah, I agree. Anthony, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like that was definitely a learning lesson for us, because we have to remember that everything needs our attention. You know, we have like a daughter, she needs our attention. So we have to be able to put the books down per se and focus on our daughter. We have to be able to draw that line of when we can do this, but then we can do that, you know, and I feel like that's something that, you know, helped us in trying to come closer to achieving balance, because I don't ever think that you actually will ever achieve like an actual balanced life. But I feel like, you know, having those defined lines of like, okay, this time's for this time's for this, let's handle this, what's important, what can wait, you know, I feel like is really, you know, a main focal point. And it's definitely something that, you know, it's not an overnight thing, you know, it's a learning process, you know, because you might see something that seems really, really important and you might devote a lot of energy in that, but then you take a step back and you might realize that something that was really important might be lacking because all the energy you spent into that. So it's kind of like regrouping and just being able to realize, you know, what truly is important.
Yeah, so, you know, I learned that probably in my 30s. Like, why? It's so simple when you get older, but at the time, like, we are just like trying so hard to do everything. So a practice that I created, and I'm sure this is what you're doing, I'm just trying to give people like real life scenario how they can implement it, is to take out your calendar and purposely put in your priorities first. So mine was my daughter's schedule. Like I go on the PTO website, the calendar, I put in all of her activities first, and then I schedule in me and my husband's time together because it's very limited with his traveling, my traveling. So we purposely plan, you know, date nights and things together. And then we put in our family vacations, things like that first, because if I don't make that a priority, I will be doing hair and educating 24/7 because I love it. It's like my passion. So I had to really like shift that mindset and say, okay, this is my number one priority. Everything else, you know, then I can start working in my coaching people, my unbranded, my TG thing, like my hair salon, all that stuff goes next. And that was such a simple thing to do, but I never did it before.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Did you? Was it like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to do this?
No, I definitely learned that in my 20s. Like I would come home, like this is what I'm doing, but yeah, you can only last so long like that. You
Right.
can't give 100%. So you have to take care of yourself and everybody else. So.
Yeah. And then implementing self-care in there too. That was another one I learned a few years ago. Like, okay, this is not working. My body's breaking down. I've got to start taking care of myself. So now I intentionally set time where it's just my self-care time. And that's been a huge game changer because it affects everything around me.
Right.
So yeah, it's awesome. All right. Well, I just want to tell you about, well, first of all, do you have anything else you want to add to this? Anything you're dying to share? Anything that you've thought of that you'd like to share with everyone?
I'm sure there will be so many after we hit that.
I know after you hang up, you're like, damn.
Something that I've forgotten to mention too is like, just for me, it was just being present in the moment, you know, because I feel like social media is such a great thing, but it's also a hard thing too, because you might get seeing all the good that people's doing, and you know, you might kind of look at it like, well, how come I'm not doing that, or what's wrong with me? Why I've been working so hard? Why can't I get there? But you need to realize that, you know, it's all about that moment, because what you do and what you're doing now is going to affect your future. You know what I mean? So being present in the moment, I feel like is very, very important. And I know it's something that I don't always do. You know, I'm always maybe thinking about something later, and my day just goes by, and I'm like, oh, the day's over. Where'd it go? You know, and I feel like making it a point to, you know, be present every day, and just understanding that, you know, what I do today is somehow is going to affect what's going to happen later. You know, and I feel like that's been, you know, an important part of Amy and I's journey as well.
Yeah, just learning to get rid of the distractions in your life so you can be present. That's huge. Right. Yeah, I love it. All right, Amy, anything you can think of?
I was going to say just like, if you know, just try to find inspiration. If you start feeling like, you know, what's next, like you just have to, it's not always going to come to you. Sometimes you have to find it. You have to look for it. So just try to stay inspired, and that's the way you're going to keep moving forward, and know that it's not going to be perfect or always easy. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think finding inspiration will come in all shapes and forms. Like maybe what was working before won't work, right? Because we're always evolving, always looking into something new. So definitely finding different ways to be inspired. And sometimes it doesn't have to just be about hair. It might be something else, you know, that will fuel that passion again for hair. So I call it finding your flow state. I think, Amy, you were in my class and I teach about your flow state and how when you get in that flow state, it'll actually inspire what your passions are. And so finding that really helps. Right. All right. Well, you guys are awesome. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me and Tammy Talks, or Tammy Connects, the old name of it, Tammy Connects. And I appreciate everyone that joined us. I hope that Anthony and Amy inspired you guys to keep moving forward and to never give up. And I will be back here in 2 weeks on a Monday to share with you with my next guest. So you guys have a great day, and thank you so much, Amy and Anthony.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And everyone have a great day.
You too.
You too.
All right, bye.